Welcome to Joy in Our Town. My name is Terry Bates. I'm the pastor of Faith Church here in Oklahoma City, and I have the privilege of being your host today. At this time, we're going to talk about a very important subject in our society, something that has grown and elevated by and large in many places of the country, and that is the need for Christian child care facilities. We know that child care is a major issue for families, especially in today's need for a two-parent household working. So finding the right place and making sure that you provide the best environment for these children is a very critical element. Today we have Rita Pettitt, a director for Kids of Faith Place here in Oklahoma City, and she's going to help us understand a little bit more about the importance and the value of Christian child care right here in Oklahoma City. Rita, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been working with the Kids of Place child care facility now a little over 10 years since it's been in existence, but right. It's brought your attention to a lot of this urgent need, not just for the average person, but especially for the people that are struggling to get back into the workplace.
Right.
So tell us about some of your experience there.
Right. Our facility has about 168 kids. About 55% of that is DHS subsidy children. We have several single parents, single grandparents, lots of different varieties of people either looking for a job, going to school to better themselves, to get back in the workplace. So that's a great opportunity for child cares to offer that to families in our community.
You know, it's a real benefit that I know that there's a lot of conversation about government subsidy programs, but this is probably one that we see that really does make a difference, because so many of these parents, and especially single moms or grandparents raising these grandchildren, if they didn't have some kind of help with the expense of child care, they'd probably not have the opportunity to even get back in the workplace.
Correct. Child care costs run the highest cost for a lot of these families. So being able to have a place for children to go to, that they can know that they're going to be there. A lot of times home child care offers just certain times. If the child care provider is sick, they can't be there all the time.
Right.
So a child care center is 6 to 6, 12 hours a day, open every day. If the child care teacher is sick, they've got another option within the daycare to help with that.
And that's a big issue. I know that even in some cases where there may be a grandparent that's maybe trying to bring some relief, but if the grandparent becomes ill or has something disruptive, that parent, if they don't have access to a child care facility, either has to take off work and miss that day of work, or they have to scramble and see if they can find someone at the last minute. But an established facility is going to provide that continuity of care, because they have a broader team to assist with that process.
And I think the structure for the kids as well, having the social aspect of being with other children is better, more so than a home daycare where there's just the same people all the time. It provides them learning skills to what to do next. How to act in these situations, and being in a Christian environment with a daycare provides that for those children.
It really is the social interaction, maybe even the teacher giving the child some assignments in the room, to pick up something, or maybe to help another child that may be new to the facility, understand where the lay of the land is, and those helping skills really become a part of the culture of developing that child.
Yeah, it's the coping mechanisms that they learn early on helps them later in life, making decisions. Learning good choices versus bad choices with their own age group. It just opens up a whole new world for them.
Well, child care itself has many valid points. I want to maybe touch on one or two more, and then we want to kind of focus ourselves more on the Christian aspect of the child care facility. But in child care in general, probably some of the best strengths are things like it helps prepare that child academically, even as they're getting ready to go into kindergarten or first grade.
Yes. The first 5 years, the formative years of a child, is so very important. Their social aspects, learning precept upon precept of what to do. If you get those building blocks, that foundation set strong, then that can be built upon later. The readiness, a lot of times if a child has just been in a home and they haven't been around a lot of other children, that first year of kindergarten is hard on the mom and the child and the teacher. So having that environment, whether it be 2 days a week or 3 days a week or 5 days a week, that is all helping that child learn how to deal with social aspects, getting along with others, making decisions, understanding consequences of those decisions sometimes, but they're learning within a small group before they go out into the big world of kindergarten.
Now, I've also heard that because kids will, at some stage, they're going to have to deal with what we'll call separation anxiety,
Yes.
pulling away from the parent. But my understanding is that it's much more capable to be dealt with by a younger child when they're in those earlier years, even at 1 and 2 years of age, as opposed to the first time they're separated from their parents, they're going to kindergarten or to first grade.
Right. They learn that mom's going to come back,
Right.
or dad's going to come back to pick me up. That timing, it's not as long of a day for them, so they learn, oh, okay, we do this first and then this, and then okay, they're going to come back. So once they get that under their belt, they kind of know this is okay.
Yeah, I think for someone, whether it was a parent at home or whether they have an in-home care person, I think the demand for them 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, having a set curriculum other than the child just sitting in the corner watching television all day, and boredom would be high on that challenge for the children. But in a daycare facility, that whole day is planned out.
Yes, the structure. Kids thrive on structure. They don't like it sometimes at first, but they learn from that. They feel comfortable in that, just like boundaries as parents or boundaries with rules. We've learned that the reason we have rules is for your protection.
Right.
And when they learn that early on, it's so much easier than having to learn all of those things that first few days of school.
So let's talk about the Christian aspect of a facility and what that brings alongside with the benefits of any daycare facility. But now you have this kind of a plus factor that a lot of parents are valuing, which is the Christian aspect. What do you think that plus factor is to most of them?
We need to have lots of different people breathing into our children. Whether that's the Sunday school teacher, the mom, the dad, the grandparents. But whenever a teacher that is with that child 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes that's the time frame for that, they're also backing what the parent wants, the godly principles, the lessons that are taught. When all of that works together with the child attending Sunday school, the child learning Bible stories from home, and the child learning from the daycare, those three things together, everybody works together for that child, has so much more of a overwhelming knowledge of Jesus Christ, knowledge of the biblical stories, not only story-wise, but values and morals. And that's where it's hard to teach values and morals until you're in an environment where you're dealing with other children. And then they're beginning to understand how all these morals come to play in their everyday life.
Yeah. So in a Christian daycare environment, something that you might not have in just a regular daycare facility would be some specific spiritual enrichment opportunities for them, chapel type services.
Yes.
Talk to us about maybe some of the specific opportunities.
We have chapel, but it is a lot different than the chapel that you and I might have grown up with. It is a more of a interactive, high energy. Those kids are jumping up and down. When we walk into that room, they are loud, squealing, singing. They're going on their Bible adventure, and that's what we like to see. It's not what we grew up with, but neither is the world today in what we grew up with. So anytime you can have something that captures their attention, and then the whole week there is a theme that follows that one service that they are in for 30 minutes on a Monday morning, that sets the tone for the whole week of what we're going to reiterate precept upon precept in order to get that across to them.
Right. And so because of that formative early 5 years, this is a very, very valuable tool to get those Christian values, those moral values, those strong character values built into their life. But let's also talk about maybe the parent side of this, because there's a lot of parents that are out there, they're facing the world, they get distraught, they have crisis. Sometimes they come in and they're crying because they've had a bad day or something has unraveled. And the distinctive benefit that a Christian daycare facility might offer is that we have people available to minister to a person that may be going through a struggle like that.
When parents walk in every day you see them. You notice their countenance has changed because something's going on. We pray every week that God gives us a keen observation as to what might be going on with these families. Families from all different backgrounds, all different lifestyles. And whenever they come in and they're crying, they're upset because they've had, a tragedy in their life, whether that be a loss of job. We've had families that have had their homes lost due to tornadoes, fires, apartment fires, different things. So it opens doors for you to be able to minister to them without even realizing it, because your compassion just overflows because you know this person, they're a part of your family. You see them every day, so you know something's wrong. And I think God just allows opportunities to arrive. We try and bridge to the families, our church, but yet in day-to-day life, that's when it becomes obvious, whenever they can come in and just let everything out, because you're the first person. A lot of times the daycare director or the teachers are the first person that mom or dad sees when they come to drop that child off, and the load of life has just hit them in that transportation time to school, and they get there and they can just let go of everything. And that's whenever we have an opportunity to speak into their lives from what God gives us.
And in addition to just, let's call it the traditional household, mom and dad are present, your facility, like most, has a high population of children who are being brought by either a single parent, a mom or dad, and or a grandparent raising grandchildren. So I think obviously here's another great opportunity to minister to a mom she doesn't have that extra help at home.
Exactly. And boy, it takes two. We look all the time at how in the world this person can get up, get to work on time, and they're bringing in 3 or 4 children. And it is just heart-wrenching to see that, but yet when we see the improvement of the areas that are available to them now that wasn't before, the subsidy through the Department of Human Services. We are licensed through the state of Oklahoma, and there's a lot of benefits to that for those families. But the grandparents, the single moms, the single dads even, that are bringing kids in.
Well, it's a great opportunity to serve a community through any kind of a child care facility, but especially, I think, through a Christian child care environment where they not only get the academics, the social interaction, but get that core spiritual character building opportunities and the opportunity to minister into the lives of those families as well. So as you consider child care needs for yourself or for other people, make sure you look around the Metroplex, visit that facility, ask them about their teaching processes. Do they incorporate Christian values and character building issues? And I think it'll have a great value to you and to your child as well. We'll be back in just a few moments with more of Joy in Our Town, so stay tuned and we'll have more in just a moment.